Hi there. So why do we people please? A child has two primary needs. They need to be loved and accepted, and they need to express the truth of who they are. So for example, if their favorite fruit is an apple, they need to be able to express that and then to be validated for that, to develop a strong sense of self that confirms I like apples and it's okay to like apples. So two primary needs: authenticity, which is expressing their truth, and love and connection. Okay? But if the parent is invalidating, if the parent does not respect and accept the child's truth, if the parent says no, you should like bananas, apples are wrong, and distances themselves from the child or punishes the child for liking apples, that child learns at a very young age that their truth is not acceptable and that they must become who the parent thinks they should be in order to be loved and accepted. So out of their two primary needs, they give up authenticity in order to fit in so that they can be loved and accepted. And that's what produces a people pleaser. So the parent, the child cannot say, oh, the parent is out of line, the parent's invalidating me, the parent's been unreasonable, and go and get a job and move on with their life. They have to adapt to whatever the status quo is of the parent in order to survive. So it's a survival response to become a people pleaser. It's a survival response to adapt to what the parent wants of you, because they don't have any other choices or resources. They have to basically fit in. So if the parent is invalidating, the child can quite easily become a people pleaser. It's not the only adaptation that the child takes on, but for the purpose of this video, I'm talking about why people become people pleasers. It's for this reason. So the child then learns that from the parent, because the parent is the god and goddess of their universe, the child learns from the parent that the world then is unsafe in terms of relaying the child's personal truth, that the child has to adapt and sacrifice themselves in order to be accepted, in order to belong. Because the parents are the role models and the example of what the world is going to be like for the child. So the child doesn't move out of home and say, okay, well, it was just the parent that was being unreasonable, that kind of forced bananas down my throat. It assumes that the world is the same. So it goes from relationship to relationship, giving to the person what it thinks the person wants to hear, what it thinks the person wants from you as the people pleaser, and keeps manipulating their way into being liked, until eventually it gets difficult. Eventually people start to push back because they pick up that that the adult is now being inauthentic. It starts to frustrate people because they can see that the person is not actually being who they are. But the people pleaser can't really see that, because the people pleaser has become the person that they think they should be based on what the parents' perception of them was. So the child goes out pretending that they like bananas, and then eventually believing that they like bananas and putting on this persona to the world that they like bananas, meantime deep down they actually like apples. So it takes years, and it takes, self-awareness and going on this personal awareness journey of healing to change these habits and to start to listen to your inner voice and your feelings, of what your personal truth is. So it takes time and it takes practice to unravel this persona you've put out to the world. You need to read books, you need to see a therapist or a life coach, or you go through very difficult situations that help you to crack open, to allow parts of your personal truth to come through so that you can realize who you actually are. So there's a process involved. But basically, becoming a people pleaser is a survival response. It's a trauma response learned from very young. People pleasing is not authentic. It's not sincere, because you're basically manipulating people, places, and things into liking you. You're giving them what you think they want instead of what is genuine. So it's not being authentic, and it's not actually meeting people where they want to be met. It's meeting them where you think you need to meet them, not where they really are. What people really want is the genuine, authentic you. But because of this adaptation and because this pattern has been in play for so long, you keep presenting this to the world. So when people get frustrated, it's a signal that you need to start being true to yourself. And the way to do that is to start to listen and act in alignment with your inner self, with what your inner self is trying to tell you, what your feelings are trying to tell you. So it's the process of developing healthy boundaries, listening to what you like, what you don't like, and going in the direction of that, no longer sacrificing that. So have faith in a higher power, that God will support you on your journey to self-discovery and to self-mastery of who you are. When you make that decision to become more genuine, you will start to attract people, places, and things who fall in alignment with that and who support your personal truth. Be patient with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Have compassion with yourself, because it came from somewhere, It came from being invalidated and not being able to be who you were from the get-go. So affirm yourself in that, but then realize that you are a grown-up now, that you produce your own safety, and you won't let anyone invalidate you again or let you down. And if they do, you will distance yourself from that relationship. But you're going to start to allow yourself to be validated by people who do deserve your presence and who can support your truth, and that you will also validate yourself and be there for yourself in a way that is pleasing to you and in a way that stretches your growth.